So, what is up, everybody? Welcome to our bi-weekly community call. This week we have a guest, as we usually do when we have a new partner joining Hidden Hand. We're joined by Dakota from the Timeless team. They are building out Bunni, which we will discuss in just a little bit. So, thanks for taking the time to hop on and hang out and explain what you guys are building, Dakota. If you don't mind, can you introduce yourself a little bit so people know who we're talking to?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Dakota. I help at Timeless, mainly focused on growth. So, everything related to marketing, business development, and community is where you're going to find me. Um, yeah, we're excited for what we got going and looking forward to talking about it.
Cool, man. So I feel like we should start by explaining what Timeless is first. Like, then we can kind of get into bunnies because you guys basically have two products ongoing right now, from the way I understand. So maybe we should spend a little time like discerning between the two. So can you explain what you guys built first with Timeless Finance, and then we'll get into what Bunny actually is?
Absolutely. So, we set out on a mission to help with capital efficiency for Timeless. And the way we went about doing that was by allowing users to long and short yield. And by this, I mean that when you deposit into Timeless, you're going to get two tokens back. So let's say you deposit one staked ETH into Timeless, and you're getting 4.5% yield on that, just as a native asset. When you run it through Timeless, you're going to get back one PYT and one NYT for that asset. The PYT is going to have 100% of the yield. So if you were getting 4.5% yield on that staked ETH, now your PYT token is still giving you 4.5% yield, and you also have this NYT token. Um, Basically, how this is going to work, and of course, it's not completely in a vacuum because it is its own market. But as the yield for the associated asset is expected to go up in value, we like to think that the PYTs are going to go up in value and NYTs are going to go down in value. And this is because to exit the trade, you're going to need both assets. So when you go to burn it, just like how when you minted it, you get one PYT and one NYT, you're going to get one of each back. So where you get your boosted yield in perpetuity without risk of liquidation is because let's go back to that original example where you have one staked ETH PYT and one staked ETH NYT. Once you sell the NYT, and let's say you just put that in USDC, or better yet, go buy even more PYT. Now you're getting more yield than you would if you just held the underlying asset, but you have the same amount of capital involved.
Dope. And that yield product is, I think, a little bit different, obviously, from how Bunny works. So I'd love to hear how you guys went from launching Timeless to ultimately launching Bunny in last October, which is a liquidity engine for basically incentivizing Uniswap V3 liquidity. So what was kind of the inspiration behind that decision?
So, big issue across all of Web3, of course, is liquidity in general. And we found out fairly quickly that um, it's hard to get that deep liquidity. So we went out looking for solutions and actually ended up making our own. Um, Fairly soon into that process, it was realized that Bunny was the beginning steps of its own liquidity engine. So what Bunny does is it enables projects still relying on Uniswap v2 or SushiSwap to mig to migrate their liquidity to Uniswap v3 and get access to their concentrated liquidity product while keeping the existing incentive structure they already had, which will result in less price impact for traders because you're getting, the Uni v3 deep liquidity and more capital efficiency for the LPs. Our gas fees actually end up coming down when you're dealing with ERC20s versus NFTs that uh, need to be created and traded around with Uniswap v3 LP tokens.
Yep.
And then we go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought you might be done, but keep going. This is good.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to that by launching Lit, we're just hopeful that we're going to enable projects to incentivize token liquidity at higher capital efficiency levels.
No, yeah, that was what I was just going to get into next. So, could you kind of break down how the gauge system and how Lit kind of works into what you guys are doing with Bunny? Like, how can if projects are planning to leverage Bunny and migrate from Uniswap v2 or migrate from Sushi to Uniswap v3 using Bunny, like what does that kind of look like? How do the incentives work, and then how do the gauges tie into that?
So first off, the system is permissionless. So anyone can come in and create a new pool, and that's pretty simple with the Bunny UI. And advantages there, as we discussed, would be to just be able to get back a little bit of capital efficiency for the LPs. So right off the bat, without messing with any gauge incentives or anything, there is utility in Bunny when you are working with your community to create a more efficient market altogether. Um, Once that step is done, projects can come in and say that they want to try to compete for um, VLIT holders to vote to incentivize their gauges. And again, this is a pretty decentralized process where uh, anyone can come in holding lit or not and create what we're calling TRCs. That is going to be a 7-day period where everyone can look over a proposal and determine if it's something that the community is interested in. If it turns out that, and a lot of times there's a little bit of negotiation that needs to happen, but as long as everyone is somewhat on board, anyone with at least 1% of the total VLIT supply can push that to a snapshot vote, and the vote's going to take 3 days. Our quorum is pretty low compared to the industry standards at only 20% right now. So we're 100% expecting to see a lot more votes happen. Everyone in our community seems to be pretty excited to participate in these votes, and there seems to be a decent amount of projects who are interested in throwing their hat in the ring to potentially get gauge rewards.
Sick.
And then,
And
of course, uh,
no, go ahead.
I,
Keep
I, I
going.
I was just going to add what you guys have going on, which is super great with the whole hidden hand market. So that just adds this awesome feature for us where you don't have to necessarily go to because the next question is, of course, well, okay, how much uh, much lit do I have to own to start incentivizing these gauges? And even though our project is still young, having this super capital efficient way for the with the hidden hand markets to have them be able to quickly get this pool up and running and then turn around and incentivize votes, it's very ideal. We're super happy to be partnering with you guys.
Yeah, you keep throwing me all of the best transitions. That was gonna lead into my next question about hidden hands. So, it's a relatively new market. We launched it, I don't know, like probably like 2 weeks ago, not even. As some of you who are in the audience may have noticed. And it's still a developing ecosystem. So, I don't think we have any bribes yet, but it's something we're definitely working on. So, who are protocols bribing in this case? Is it VLIT holders, is it OLIT holders? Who, like, which incentives are pools receiving, and then which token holders are protocols bribing whenever they ultimately decide to bribe on hidden hand?
So the hidden hand incentive bribes will go to VLIT holders who are responsible for voting on what pool receives incentives. And since you mentioned it, how that works, how the OLIT works in our system is that LPs end up getting they get options to purchase lit. So right now it is at a 50% discount. That discount is up to the community to change at any time. I'm personally super excited to see it at 50%. That's been a lot of fun for me. But yeah, so hidden hand bribes go to elit voters, which is again a ton of utility for us because we're not sharing revenue at this point. Again, something that's totally up to the community. I feel like very early on, a lot of really great steps were taken to make things as decentralized as possible. And I think we're going to see that kind of unfold as the community kind of plays this tug of war game on, what we do with the discount rate for option contracts, what we do with revenue.
Dope. And Funky, I know you've been on the sidelines. You just asked a question about pool emissions and gauges. So if you don't mind asking that here for the recording.
Sure. Yeah, so I have two questions about Bunny. They're probably very basic, and I could probably find the answer if I looked at the docs, but I thought I'd ask here because we have this great resource that is you. So Bunny incentivizes liquidity on UniV3. How does Bunny make money if it's working on top of a different platform?
So depositors actually interact with a contract with I can't think of what it's called, and I'm sorry about that. It's money something, and we take a fee from that on the LPs. I believe it is 0.05%. It's a very small fee. Again, totally up to the community. There's been a lot of talk about increasing that fee. But yeah, right now, how Bunny makes money is from a fee taken from the LPs.
Okay. And is this fee like a fee on the trading fees, or is it just a fee on the nominal LP position?
It's a fee on the trading fees.
Okay, cool. All right, so that means bunnies work for all types of uni pools, no matter what fee they have.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And my second question is, so there's a bunch of different gauge systems already implemented. One that's quite interesting is Balancer, where they have LP emissions, and gauges determine a portion of those LP emissions, but some are discretionary by the balancer pool, who incentivize like the balancer ETH pool, for example. For Bunny, if I'm a VE NYT holder, hopefully I got that right. How much of the Bunny LP emissions do I control?
So our governance token is lit. The NYT tokens and PYT tokens, they're really just associated with our yield marketplace, which is the main timelessfi.com. So I know that is a little bit confusing. I hope I can explain that correctly. Governance token for both protocols is lit. I'm sorry. What can you repeat that last bit for me? The question
Yeah, sure.
was
So
actually
yeah, so I got the token wrong. So if I'm a VE lit holder, how
oh,
much of
100% of the incentives. Sorry, Funky.
okay,
That's my bad.
so Bunny doesn't have like say some emissions what they use to bootstrap their Bunny ETH pool or something like that, or their lit ETH pool or something like that.
No, as far as I'm aware, 100% of that question actually came up in the Discord today. So I just answered it. I can, yeah, it's 100% as of right now of emissions is coming from the gauges. I know early on we discussed that we were going to try to push incentives towards our PYT NYT pairs. But as far as I'm aware, that 100% of it is coming from those votes, and then we're just not as a not from the treasury, but just as individual users, trying our best to support our own protocol.
Okay, cool. Thanks. That's all the questions I had.
All right, dope.
Thank you.
Cool. So the sort of next one I have, and maybe it ties into somebody kind of asked like when bribes. I think like one question I have is I noticed Frax seems like one of the biggest users of Bunny right now. Who are some of the other protocols that you guys see embracing Bunny? And obviously you don't have to leak any like non-ready partnerships or anything like that, but I guess what is the Frax relationship like? How have they been kind of utilizing Bunny, and how are some of, or who are some of the other protocols that you see utilizing Bunny, and how are they sort of taking advantage of emission so far?
So Frax actually just put forth a new TRC, which I believe is still it's actually been pushed to Snapshot, and the voting period's still going on. But I would assume last time I checked, it seemed like it was going to pass, and that was for their liquid staking derivative product. So it seems like a lot of the current the biggest thesis is around how to use money is related to these pools that you want to take advantage of the deep liquidity. So the stable coins and LSD pairs where you can really focus on a small range, take advantage of that, and then potentially have, like a lot of these guys have like backup pools that are going to be the full range. That's kind of there in case of emergency, and they're really focused on these tight ranges with Bunny. So yeah, without any major leaks, um, in my opinion, all the target demographic right now would be liquid staking derivative products and stable coins in general. But as we discussed, there uh, really the totally addressable market for Bunny is fairly large, just because we can help smaller LPs be more efficient.
Dope. Yeah, that makes sense. You don't have to leak all the alpha. We'll encourage everybody to go keep up on your Twitter, and potentially, I guess, the governance forum is another good place to see what kind of partners are onboarding. So like transitioning into who the bribers might be, I guess he kind of leaked who that target audience would ultimately end up being. It's honestly a lot of the same people you see bribing across all of the other ecosystems, because stablecoins and LSD projects are ultimately the ones that need the deepest liquidity at their pegs. So they're the ones who are usually pretty quick to take advantage of extra incentives around liquidity and bootstrapping across different decentralized exchanges. So for those of you curious, those will ultimately probably be the ones who end up bribing. So we have a little bit of work to do, I think, on the biz dev and partnership side to kind of make those things happen and get them across the finish line. I would encourage everybody to exercise patience. It's a brand new market. It's not very often that a market launches and then all of a sudden it's just flourishing. So I think after we have a few conversations, communicate the benefits and whatnot, we'll start to see more protocols come in and take advantage of the gauges and ultimately Hidden Hand on top of those. On the stage,
Kind,
is there...
kind of a
Go ahead, Dakota.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Kind of a side note here. We should make sure that I'm in good contact with y'all's business development team, because I'm sure there's plenty I can learn to uh, help kind of push you guys across, help to push these people across the goal lines, because I'm working on the same stuff on my end, right? So yeah, we should continue to work together on that.
For sure. And is there anybody up on stage that has questions that they want to ask or anything they want to throw Dakota's way while we have him here? Sammy or Never, anybody who's been keeping up with what Bunny's up to?
Oh, nothing on my end. I'm really excited about this market. I was vouching for it internally. I think it's a really good step for us. I think it's a much needed improvement on UV3 liquidity provisioning. So I think this is going to be one of our most successful hidden hand markets in a long time. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, from my end, usually the biggest problem with UniV3 was that it had no real incentive or any good economics similar to Curve. But now finally, LPs are not just getting into Toxic Flow, but actually also now it makes it easier for DAOs and stuff to actually have their POL or stuff like that on it, where they actually have power to direct liquidity instead of just either putting liquidity in themselves or just hoping that people just LP for the trading fees.
Dope. Well, if there's no more questions, Dakota, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to share your knowledge with everybody and answering some of our newbie questions. Is there anywhere that people should be keeping an eye out to keep up with you guys or to follow you guys or make sure they're in the loop on what you guys are up to?
I was very grateful to have the opportunity to be here. So thank you for that. I'm always available if y'all need me for something. Discord is the best place to follow and to reach us if you have any questions. The community is pretty open, and we'll try to answer things right away if one of the main folks isn't around. So that the Discord's a great place. A lot of the governance stuff is actually happening on Discord right now. So really that's the place to be. And of course, follow us on Twitter, just kind of get things a little bit faster. But yep, those two.
Dope, man, appreciate it, and thanks again for taking the time. We'll have the recording up on Monday. I'll make sure to shoot it your way, and if you guys end up sharing it with your community, great. Cool. So, and feel free to drop off the stage if you want to, or you can hang out. Totally up to you. You don't have to be stuck with us for the whole hour if you don't want to. I'll leave that up to you. But cool. We'll transition into some redacted stuff now. Let's see what we've got. I think we should probably start with one. We had our 14th RO butterfly distribution. I think it was decently juicy. I don't know if anybody on stage has any comments about anything, or if anybody saw any questions after the rewards distribution that are worth addressing.
I think it was a pretty standard epoch. The yield was, I don't know, I can't remember, 4 to 5%. And the dollar amount distributed was higher than normal, which makes sense for the market. But then at the same time, the butterfly price is quite high, so we're remaining quite stable there.
Dope. Yeah, works for me. So if anybody has any questions about that last distribution, you can go check out Dune and see the numbers for yourself. So on the governance side, you'll notice that I think in the past week or two, we have passed 2 proposals. One is to launch the sort of timeless Bunni hidden hand market, which is who we just had on stage answering some of our questions. And we also passed RIP 35, which is to start the co-development of a Camelot hidden hand market. The timeless Bunni market we just talked about for the past 20 minutes, so we don't have to cover that much. Sammy, maybe you've been a little bit closer to the Camelot market. Can you kind of touch on that proposal a little bit? It's a little different than our other sort of hidden hand partnership proposals.
Yeah, so this is another really exciting development. We obviously launched PXGMX on Camelot. They allocated us a portion of the Genesis pool. There might be some changes coming to that pool because maybe some of the solutions to getting the PXGMX rewards back to the LPs, requires us sort of evolving that pool. But separate from that, we've been in lots of conversations with the Camelot team, one a lot around PXGMX, and then that obviously naturally evolved to like what else we're doing. They are in a position where they're bootstrapping, right? I guess like our launch this time last year-ish now. Just like, bootstrapping the protocol, trying to get tokens out there, getting like, making the community familiar with their name. But shortly after, they want to start development on what is not a V2, but really like the core product that, keeps them around. The basic idea is, we are expanding to Arbitrum via Plutus. I think that's already common knowledge. And Camelot also does not have gauges yet, but and wants to do things a bit differently as they do with everything else. But sort of came to us and said, hey, like, would we be open to allocating some resources, as in like dev resources, policy resources, to sort of help them design and shape what a bribe market for Camelot looks like. Perhaps it's a bit different than some of the more traditional markets we have. Obviously, we were totally down for that. We spend up a Commonwealth proposal that just sort of says, like, look, we're going to put some resources aside to help make it happen, help see it through the finish line. And it's not something that's coming out like the day after the snapshot passes. It's after the snapshot passes, we'll begin development on it. So we're pretty excited about it, but I wouldn't say it's something that's happening like tomorrow. I think it's at the drawing board stages for now.
Dope. And regarding RL Butterfly, Joker Frog has a question about that. So while we're here, he asked, what are the plans for future RL Butterfly pulse emissions after the first year rewards are distributed? Is there a new proposal incoming to address that? So if anybody has thoughts up here, feel free. No thoughts. Then I guess
Maybe Funky, you want to take it, or I can take it.
What was the question? Sorry.
So it's Joker Frog's question. He asked, what are the plans for future RL Butterfly pulse emissions after the first year rewards are distributed? Will there be a new proposal incoming to address that?
Yeah. So yeah, the emissions, as per the first proposal, will end in May. So like the last week of May. And I think it's good to see where we are in May. I'll probably have like some community discussion there, just to see kind of where the kind of product fee generation is at. But I think most likely we'll have a new proposal to kind of continue to bootstrap the RL token while the products continue to develop. And then the kind of amount will be kind of, I think, really just a discussion with the community. And I'm sure the community will be willing, well, I'm sure the community will want to have an amount of incentivization which is probably comparable to other protocols, like, for example, GMX or whatever. But at the same time, knowing that we have a fixed token supply, and new products coming out which may require incentivization, we'll strike that balance there to find the right number, if any. But it will be a community-driven process, I think.
Dope. So hopefully that, yeah, okay, cool. That answered the question. So as always, we'll make sure to keep you guys in the loop on what those decisions look like, and of course we're always taking feedback from all of you before we even push anything live as far as governance proposals go. So you will not be out of the loop. Somebody asked a question earlier about why there's only 40 listeners, and I just want to say that all of the community calls that you guys see are not organic. If they have hundreds and hundreds of listeners in there, they're faking it. It's mostly Pope farming, or POAP farming, however you say it. So just keep that in mind. We have 42 OGs in here, real human beings that are here to hang out with us. So they're psycho enough to actually come here every Friday morning and hang out. So it's real. Just keep that in mind. Everybody else is faking. Awesome. If there's no more governance questions or RO Butterfly questions, somebody said we don't need more listeners. These calls get the best alpha. Facts. And that's why we even delayed the uploading of the recording to Mondays, so you guys get all of the alpha. Yeah, you're all psycho for being here every Friday morning with us. Cool. If there's no more governance or RL Butterfly questions, we can move on to some Pirex updates. So I'm sure all of you have noticed, if you've been hanging out in the Discord and keeping up with the Pirex Convex or Pirex deposit tracker, really, that Pirex Convex has been going insane lately. There's been a lot of huge deposits. I think right now we're at 2.7 million CBX launched in or locked in Pirex Convex, or deposited in Pirex Convex. So it's been performing really well. I think, like, Sammy, you made a post in general about like hitting 2.5 million CBX or something, and then we hit it like 5 minutes later, even though it was like a huge jump. Somebody made like a 1.5 million deposit, and we've seen like a lot of $1.5 million deposit, sorry, and we've seen a lot of other big deposits. So that's been really exciting to see. I think it's obvious that Pyrex Convex is becoming pretty much the most trusted Bolot Convex wrapper in the entire market, and we've done it without committing a significant amount of our butterfly supply towards incentives. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. It's really exciting. Keep spreading the word. We're going to keep spreading the word. And yeah, hopefully that continues to chug along. As far as Pyrex GMX, I think you guys have been extremely helpful in providing feedback on where we were not as clear as we should have been.
Maybe
on,
sorry, can I jump in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you get into the Pyrex GMX stuff, there was like 1 or 2 questions. I was just looking at the Pyrex general chat about more flexibility for rewards with Pyrex Convex. One of the most, I guess, like a figure you can pull up the thread Never Made. One of the most underrated and underused contracts that we've ever put out in our existence has been the Pyrex Expert Mode. Right now, the major users of it are us because we're making a ton of money on it, and our friends at Maven. But basically, someone wants to use the APY generated by Convex to only stack FXS. And then I saw another one. Someone wants to use the APY generated to stack more vanilla Convex because they're exposed enough to, smart contract risk and stuff with Pyrex Convex. Whatever the case is, expert mode on PXCVX, maybe we should push more of it on Twitter and stuff, but it plays a crucial role in some of the other stuff we want to put out this year. But essentially, it's an order book RFQ marketplace where people can, take these rewards that they're generating in the future, even kind of like what Timeless was just saying, and sell them for whatever they think it's worth, for whatever token they want to stack, however they want to play it. It's very customizable, very flexible. And if you think you're, maybe technically savvy enough, obviously, there's risks associated with it and stuff. But if you think you're technically savvy enough to sort of endeavor on that, and you want to get into the really nitty gritty of the Pyrex code, then you should really check out Expert Mode, because I think it really enables a lot more than people think.
Dope. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Never's thread and follow him. He's on his influencer arc right now, his thread or arc. So everybody make sure to follow Never if you want alpha. I think we're going to use Never's account to leak some of the weirder alpha within the Redacted ecosystem, like the stuff that's going on with Expert Mode. So yeah, give him a follow. Okay, so Pyrex GMX stuff. What I was saying is basically it's chugging along as normal. I would say, like, it's growing sort of slowly but surely, and a lot of community members have given really good feedback on some of the educational hurdles that are there. So I've been spending a lot of time this week, and I'll spend a lot of time next week ironing out our documentation a little bit more and pushing out a blog post and a few tweets, kind of clarifying some of the stuff that may be confusing, so we can help get some of the more skeptical users across the finish line and depositing into Pyrex GMX. I think the thing around GMX is that, there are a lot of weird nuances to how their staking mechanisms work that you have to account for when writing educational material, and some of those maybe we didn't account for. So yeah, that's mostly the big update there. And then I forgot, before I moved on from Hidden Hand, to highlight the fact that last week, I'm pretty sure it was last week, we had our biggest week of bribes ever. And I don't know the number off the top of my head. Does anybody up here on stage remember it by chance?
It's like It was $980,000 of bribes in a week.
So 980,000 beans. That's completely insane. I think we saw one of our biggest bribes ever. It wasn't the biggest bribe ever, because the biggest bribe ever is a piece of redacted lore. If any of you remember that one and how that one played out. This one, fortunately, played out a little bit differently, but yeah, it's been awesome to see that that Hidden Hand is continuing to grow. It had another record week last week, and we also have another proposal in the pipeline that I think is pretty exciting, that was put up on Synapse's governance forum just last week or the week before, and now we're kind of waiting on the vote to go to Snapshot. I don't know, Sammy, if you wanna touch on what that proposal is and what it's going to look like for Hidden Hand.
Yeah. So another Hidden Hand market that we spend more time on than I guess the others, because we're really bullish on it, is the FXS market. I talked about this on a lot of community calls, so I won't go over it again, but we have this sort of program right now with Badger where if they bribe, we'll match their bribe, not with a dollar amount, but with a voting amount in VFXS that the Treasury holds, because the Treasury holds quite a bit of FXS. Our friends at Sentiment have come along, which is a perps platform on Arbitrum, have come along and said they have launched a new Frax gauge for their Frax BP collateral to be part of the perps exchange. It's something cool. And basically, while we are generating, with the Badger partnership, I think we're generating like a good partnership and use case of Hidden Hand. But with Sentiment, I think we're generating actual money, or more money than we would generate with the Badger bribe. Whereas I think it's more of an opportunity cost thing, right? Like we're willing to, and we still are willing to, like, put our FXS behind partners who use the market to get it going and kick it off. But at the same time, the proposal is basically saying, let's split this FXS, half of it going towards FXS Hidden Hand bootstrapping, and then another half going towards OTC bribing, which just pulls in, more stables and more tokens and more revenue and stuff, right? So my Snapshot thing is messed up. I don't know why I can't post anything, but we will send it to Snapshot hopefully today or tomorrow. And it's just another easy win for us. I think, a good use case of just like how the Treasury and Hidden Hand come together, and it should be fun. Another easy win.
Yeah, and another win that's in the pipeline, I don't know if we actually talked about it on this call, is the proposal that VL Aura, or Aura really, is making on the Synapse forum. So basically, they are looking to help Synapse transition their incentives program from SushiSwap to using Balancer and bribing VL Aura. So I was trying to pull the link up a second ago and I couldn't, because it is just like very slow for some reason. I don't know if the forum's down or what, but if any of you get access to the Synapse forum at any point today, I recommend checking it out, because it is a significant amount of money that will be routed through Hidden Hand to bribe VL Aura holders to, I don't know, basically transition Synapse away from Sushi. I think they spend a lot of money on just MasterChef rewards, which is just like traditional liquidity mining rewards, and Aura has found a way to reduce their spend by something like 40% while maintaining similar efficiency using Hidden Hand and VL Aura. So check that out. I wish I could send the link over, but I can't because it's slow for me. So if anybody happens to get it, it looks like that could be the one. Yeah, that's actually the one. So if you look in the town hall text chat, you can find it. So I would check out some of the numbers there. They're pretty crazy. I think it would be a huge development for Hidden Hand. I think it'd be really exciting to get that passed. So we're waiting on it to move to Snapshot. I think the timeline for that is within the next week, hopefully. I think so far most of the feedback on the proposal has been positive, but it's been a couple of days since I've been able to check that out. So yeah, that is the other big hidden hand update. So is there any questions about hidden hand or Pirex before we move on to the topic that everybody, I'm sure, wants to hear about? I will wait a second. If not, then we can, I guess, move on to Dinero stuff. So, Dinero, what do we want to talk about today regarding Dinero? I think the big thing around Dinero is that development basically is fully underway in a way that it hasn't been over the past couple of weeks. So I don't know how much we want to say here. Never, you'd be able to provide more context than I, while also not leaking too much. So if there's any like kind of development updates you want to give there on kind of where we're at as far as the process goes, feel free.
Sure. We're looking to get MVP out really soon, especially on the PXE side of things. Kind of just get it all the system, maybe not fully featured, but at least like running on an Ethereum testnet, and then yeah, from then on we can keep grinding it. So it's real.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, yeah, never kind of like I think said a thing that we haven't said before there. I won't repeat it. So you either heard it or you didn't, and I'll have to decide later if I'm going to bleep that out of the call. So the people who are here, you know, part of it, I guess. The others you don't know. So too bad, so sad. Cool. So Dinero development's picking up. There is a certain phase of it that is the primary focus first. And yeah, I think, you know, we're going to make a significant progress on that front over the next couple of weeks. I do think the light paper is also getting in a good spot. So I guess just for transparency on how we're thinking about releasing some of this stuff, it'll kind of start with the light paper. That's also kind of what we'll push, I think, to the governance forum, if I'm not mistaken. Sammy, is that the plan? So light paper to the governance forum to kind of get everybody's feedback and approval, and then the main light paper will come actually towards release.
The white paper will come towards release. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we're working on, I think, finishing up the light paper. That'll go out whenever it's ready, and you guys will be able to give feedback. Obviously, we want to push stuff through governance. So yeah, that is mostly. I think that's all we can do on the Dinero update. We might have leaked too much, but we'll let people speculate on the rest of it and see where it goes. But yeah, that's enough. Cool. We won't leak anymore. Cool. So if there's any other questions that people have about other stuff, whether it's hidden and Pirex governance, partnerships, whatever, feel free to ask them. If not, as usual, we can give people a little bit of time back on this Friday. So I will wait a couple seconds, or if there's anything we miss on stage, feel free to talk about it.
One thing on my end. Oh yeah, let's get UST on stage to do the. Oh, he's already here. But UST, are you ready to do the joke? Someone has to pay him. The only other thing on my end was some questions on multi-farm. Someone said when multi-farm. Multi-farm has been live. But there's obviously still things we have to do. Okay, BBC to multi-farm. Yeah. Okay, so multi-farm. This obviously it's a group effort. Our front-end devs, you could see him in the chat here, Hot Wheels. He's probably, doesn't want to do it, but if there's ever times you guys notice something's wrong with the multi-farm dashboard, or you think there's we need to add something, obviously there's a ton of stuff going on in Redacted, so it's going to be something that has to be ever evolving. Just give us a shout. We're happy to add it, but it is live. You can go to dashboard.redacted.finance. It's right there. And yeah, that's about it on multi-farm. So that's been live. Now BBC, our friend Pink has emerged from the shadows, and we've managed to get a hold of him, and things are looking really good. You guys might have seen in their Discord, like the artwork is done basically, right? Getting ready to get the technical side ready. I think they've talked with you never more than they've talked to me about that. But just like, setting up the mint, figuring out where it's going to trade, all that sort of stuff is like now what's happening with it. Obviously moving slower than expected, but at least Pink is alive.
I mean, that's one way to say it, I guess. At least he's alive. Yeah. So, project dev's dead. We are selling the project. Yeah. So, BBC, yeah, slowly but surely. I think, yeah. I mean, I feel like we've said all this stuff before. Just have some patience with us on the BBC and multi-farm front. I think the multi-farm part is like, we are all multi-farm now, as somebody said earlier in the chat. Multi-farm is us, and we are multi-farm. So that's where we're at on that. Cool. Well, if there's no more questions, then yeah, I think we can wrap it up here. So, wait, there was something about a joke. If UST is here, then you can tell it. If not, then
What's good, fam?
oh man, he's here. Jesus. All right, go ahead, man.
Yep. All right, give me a sec. I'm
Cricket's
firing.
ready, everybody.
I'm about to fire the joke off. Give me 2 seconds.
Get your crickets ready.
All right. Did you hear about the Italian chef who died?
No.
He passed away.
All right.
Oh
well,
my God.
Yeah, everybody enjoy your Friday. Thanks for coming to hang out as always. Worst joke I've ever heard, bar none. So yeah, anyways, hopefully it doesn't ruin anybody's weekend. And yeah, thanks again everybody for hanging out. Peace.